Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Vesper submachine gun. This is one of my favorite SMGs in the game. This one's really fun to use. It's an absolute bullet hose monster. It's popular in the competitive scene, so today's episode is going to be a lot of fun. Also running the Ruin Specialist, and this one going to be gravity spiking people. But let's talk about the stats on the Vesper. It only has 3 unique damage profiles. That is 30 damage up close, 22 at medium range, medium for the Vesper that is, which is going to be quite short as you'll see in a little bit, and 19 damage at long ranges. This is pretty normal for submachine guns in Call of Duty, nothing really odd about that, which means it will kill between 4 and 6 shots depending on how far away you are from the enemy, but it's usually going to be 5 shots. That 4-shot kill range isn't very impressive. The 5-shot range isn't bad, so I'm going to say usually 5 shots if you hit them all. Of course, you're going to be missing like crazy with this one, but the 4-shot kill range is 9 meters, which is one of the lower ones for all the submachine guns. As a matter of fact, I think that is the lowest 4-shot kill range of all of the SMGs, and it's only slightly better than the Kuda's 3-shot kill range. Not very impressive there. 5-shot kill range at 23 meters is more like most other SMGs' 4-shot kill range. So we've kind of like stepped down a whole shot to kill in our ranges, and the range on this weapon is admittedly very poor, and for good reason, obviously because it fires really fast. The headshot multiplier is 1.1x. On this particular submachine gun, headshots are useful at both medium and long ranges. Headshots are not useful at all at close range. Even if you get, 4 headshots in a row, you can actually get 4 headshots in a row at close range, it still won't kill them any faster. However, medium range, long range, you're definitely reducing your shots to kill very significantly, so I would tell you to go for headshots on this one, except for, of course, at point blank, it's just as effective to spray them in the body than it is at the head, and I do end up getting a lot of headshots with the Vesper due to the high vertical recoil. I find that the recoil kicks up to the head, and the way I aim it, I usually start at chest, and I wait for it to kick up, and I get usually 1 or 2 headshots in the mix, and it makes them die much quicker, and I find this to be a very effective tactic. The iron sights are good enough for this, and they're pointy, they're kind of angular, so it's kind of easy to line the shots up on the head, at least in my opinion. The rate of fire is 1200 RPM. I want to say that again, 1200 rounds per minute. That is insanely fast, and that is the exact same speed as the Black Ops 2 Scorpion, making it one of the fastest firing submachine guns in Call of Duty history. I think only outdone by the PM9 in Modern Warfare 3, which I think was like 1400 or something crazy like that. But 1200 RPM is extremely fast. That's really the bread and butter of this weapon. That's what makes the Vesper unique, is just how fast it shoots, because it is a bullet hose. It is a bullet dump truck. It is a FedEx for bullets, just shipping stuff to your house like crazy. And it fires at twice the speed of some of the other submachine guns approximately. Some of the other SMGs are closer to like 700 RPM. This one's firing at about 1200, so this would be like dual wielding Kudas kind of, and just dumping out bullets like mad. Just want to point that out, and I want to make it very, very clear that that is a very high rate of fire. Unfortunately, the magazine is not impressive. The standard magazine size is only 30, which means you're going to blow through it very, very quickly, and even when you run extended mags, it only goes up to 42, so it's not super useful. We will be talking about the reload speed later on in the in-depth episode, but do know that you're going to be reloading a lot. Every single time you touch the trigger, you're pretty much going to have to reload. So we've talked a lot about damage, range, rate of fire, all that kind of stuff. Now let's talk about time to kill, because this is typically how we rank and compare weapons. This has the second fastest up-close time to kill. You would think this would be the fastest time to kill, but it's actually the second fastest. The fastest goes to the Pharaoh, which we'll be reviewing in the next episode of In Depth. The Pharaoh kills people the fastest up close. This one is the second fastest, and its overall time to kill is actually quite fast despite the range being poor. The rate of fire just makes up for it, and it has an overall very fast time to kill at most any range, just because it shoots incredibly fast. If, of course, you're hitting your shots. These time to kill calculations pretty much just assume that you hit all 4, 5, 6 shots in a row or whatever, and you kill somebody as fast as humanly possible. Realistically, with the Vesper, that won't be happening. If you have very good aim, if the people are walking into your bullets, or if you're a very competitive player and you have to like just god tier aim, yeah, you can do that, but most of us won't be able to do that. I think the iron sights are okay, and it's mostly a close range weapon anyway. It doesn't make too much a difference if you want to run a dot sight or an elo sight or a boa sight or whatever. I don't have a use for the dot sights or any type of optics on this weapon. The iron sights do the job. I mean, at the range at which you should be using the Vesper, you should not be needing any type of optical attachment, so I kind of think that they're a waste. The recoil is very high. We've reviewed several submachine guns where I would tell you the recoil is not so bad, it's very manageable. This one is very high, and it's mostly vertical recoil, though it will drift to one side or the other. However, despite being very high, it is surprisingly controllable. If you happen to have a feel for it, if you can pull down on the kick, it was probably like 80% vertical and like 20% horizontal, you can really significantly reduce the recoil just by pulling down on it. I don't think PC players are going to have an issue with this at all. And again, I didn't have much of an issue. It's also kind of funny, like, as long as you line up your first shots and your first shots hit the gun, kind of tends to do the rest of the work for you. I found that if I aimed down sights with somebody and I was patient and I waited until I lined up on their body perfectly and then held down the trigger, yeah, it's going to kick like a mule, but it's going to kick upward and all my shots are going to hit anyway, and I'm probably going to get headshots in there. So just hold off a little bit, try and make sure your first shots hit, don't spray, don't start shooting and then ADS and try and lock somebody. You won't be able to do that. You want to have the person in your crosshairs before you start firing. The Hipfire spread is good, which is the same as the other submachine guns, really. I mean, it's pretty tight. It's not special or different. I think only the VMP has better hipfire than any of the other ones. However, this is a very good candidate for a laser sight. It's a very close range submachine gun. You can hipfire and dump a bajillion bullets downstream. It's very forgiving. It works really well with the laser sight. I would definitely encourage you to try that out and see if you like it. There is a downside to the Vesper other than the terrible recoil and small magazine, and that's that the aim down sight's time is very slow at 225 milliseconds, tied for slowest in the class. It's just a very slow ADSing weapon. I think that was kind of meant to cut back on the TTK a little bit, make some of the other SMGs a little more competitive. You can run a quick draw grip on it to help that out. I think it's helpful. You might not. And again, it's not the worst thing ever. Reload time is 2 seconds flat, which is kind of average for each class and kind of average for weapons in the game. It's not good or bad, with the exception of the fact that the mag is small and the rate of fire is huge, so you're going to be reloading all the time. So fast mags is a very good attachment. It cuts your reload time down to 1.3 seconds, or basically shaves 35% off of your reload time. Very, very effective on the Vesper, and I tend to prefer it over extended mags. Unfortunately, this submachine gun has a low wall penetration factor. You cannot wall bang with the Vesper. This one has like one of those old school like pistol shotgun kind of wall penetration factors. If you're not shooting through cardboard or plywood or something very, very thin, you're not going to even be shooting through it at all. Like, it won't punch through a whole lot of surfaces, and the surfaces that it does punch through, it doesn't deal a whole lot of damage on the other side, so do keep that in mind. Now we are moving down toward the end of the episode. Time to talk a little bit of opinion on the Vesper. The Vesper is your ultimate close-range bullet hose. This is the premier high rate of fire submachine gun in Call of Duty Black Ops 3. If you like putting bullets downstream and you don't particularly care where they land, this is going to be the submachine gun for you. Of note, you can put rapid fire on it and make it shoot faster. I'll go ahead and spoil it. Rapid fire does not have as big of an effect this year as it did last year. I think it's only going to move it up from 1200 RPM to 1300 RPM, so it's not as useful. But if you just really want to max that TTK, you definitely can do it. And I find that the Vesper works surprisingly well at medium and long ranges too. Like, I found that if I'm just a little bit patient, like I said earlier, and I line the crosshairs up, or not the sights, mind you, and as long as I can get the first shot or two on target, the rest tends to take care of itself. And I do tend to challenge people at long ranges with this, even when I shouldn't, just because it has a better feel than it should. The weapon is also favored in competitive. Surprisingly, I watched some of the Totino's 50K last weekend, and this was one of the most commonly banned submachine guns on the competitive scene, which probably means they consider it overpowered or at least extremely strong. So you should definitely consider it a good weapon as well, because pros are very, very good at intuitive things like that. And the Vesper is a top tier submachine gun, definitely in all categories, numerically, by feel, by handling, by popularity. I see a lot of Vesper, and you can do really, really good work with this SMG. Definitely one of the ones to consider keeping with you as you prestige. I'm going to recommend two classes. Now, either of these can go with fast mags if you want them. It's not necessary. Fast mags are just nice. Class 1, we're going to try and fix the Vesper's weaknesses. We're going to add quick draw grip so we can aim down sights faster, and we're going to add long barrel so that we get a little bit better TTK over range, so that we get more 4-shot range, so that it's just just a little bit nicer, adds a little bit more oomph to it, you know, and I think this is my favorite. This is what works best for me, being loud, getting a little extra range, ADSing really fast. I like quick draw grip in general in Black Ops 3, so I'm going to be recommending on that on a lot of classes. And the other one we can recommend is almost the exact opposite, but it works really well. You can run silencer in conjunction with laser sight. This is for when you really want to commit to close range combat. The laser sight obviously tightens up the hipfire, makes that better, and the weapon has pretty pitiful range, so as long as you commit to just staying close range, the silencer doesn't hurt it that bad. I mean, it can only go from garbage to what? Extra garbage range. It's not such a big deal. Really, not such a big deal. You probably won't notice it as much as you think. This type of setup will work very, very well as well. And guys, that is all for this in-depth episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. The previous episode was on the Weevil. The next episode is going to be on the Pharaoh. I don't know when the Pharaoh SMG is going to be done. I'm coming down with kind of a cold, kind of forcing myself to do this commentary as is, so I might have to take a day or two off. And that's all for now. Drifter out.